And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Right now, very happy to have back on Marcus Flowers. He's a proud Army veteran, a patriot, a Georgia Democrat running for Congress to defeat Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia's 14th district. Marcus, welcome back to the show. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Dean. Good to be here again.
So remind me a little bit about your personal story. Everyone knows how horrible Marjorie Taylor Greene is, but I want to know how good you are and about your service to this nation and everything that brought you to run now for Congress. So share a little, please, if you could.
Well, I'm just a simple guy born in Troy, Alabama, which is also the birthplace of John Lewis, who's my idol, or was my idol, along with Dr. King and Ambassador Andrew Young, men that I grew up watching, fight for rights, and at 18 years old, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution when I joined the Army. And literally that's what I've been doing ever since. As a soldier, former defense contractor, and a government official for the Department of Defense. Stated simply, service to this country has literally been my life. I spent a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan, supporting our warfighters overseas. I've worked on, 4 different continents, traveled to 46 different countries, mostly in service to our nation. So when I watched the events of 9/11, an attack on the citadel of our democracy, the same democracy that my brothers and sisters lost their lives fighting for overseas, I knew something had to be done. And I watched as people like Marjorie Taylor Greene pushed the big lie and drove those people to the Capitol. And coming from the world that I come from, which is mostly intelligence and electronics warfare, I understand how misinformation, disinformation, and radicalization will move people to do things that are unbelievable. I tell people, imagine what it takes to get a person to put on a suicide vest and go and blow up Americans. Now, that doesn't just happen in a vacuum. You don't just walk up to that person and say, hey, here's an idea.
Right.
That takes a lot of lies, a lot of misinformation and disinformation. The same thing that it took to get those hijackers to fly those planes into the World Trade Center in the Pentagon on 9/11, which Marjorie Taylor Greene said was a false flag. When I watched that on January 6th, I knew we'd gotten to a dark place in our country, and I felt that I had to do something. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was already on my radar. The next day, I resigned my post as a government official and decided to run for Congress against her, because that is not who we are here in Northwest Georgia. People here in this district are kind, generous, and caring people. But a lot of them have been misinformed and misled by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I'm going to put myself between people like Marjorie Taylor Greene pushing the big lie in the Constitution every day of the week. And that's what I'm doing.
That's great. And I can tell it was a calling. Like when you first served our nation, now it's a calling again to protect our nation politically this time, now through military means. And, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who helped incite some of the lies and helped Donald Trump, but since then has been defending the people who attacked our Capitol, talking about them being political prisoners, holding press conferences outside of the prison, seemingly more upset with the people being in prison for attacking our Capitol than the attack on our Capitol itself.
Right. Absolutely. It's outrageous. And she spends more time defending the insurrectionists, let's call it what it is, those
Right.
insurrectionists, those people who've been radicalized by the big lie. She spends more time defending them and fighting for them than she does fighting for the people here in Northwest Georgia, fighting for our healthcare, fighting for our kids' future in schools, our veterans here. Georgia has a huge veteran community. Over 640,000 veterans at any given time reside here in Georgia. We have 12 military bases. We've got veterans who are sick right now, guys who spent time in Iraq and Afghanistan and breathed in those toxic fumes from the burn pits, just like I did. And she voted against getting them medical care, when she voted against honoring our PACT Act. That's ridiculous. Even though my campaign was born out of what happened on January 6th, what it really is about is the people here in Northwest Georgia and getting things done for them. That's what it's about, Dean.
And one of the worst things is you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about our veterans, yet turning her back on them when They're struggling with cancers, respiratory, cardiovascular issues from the burn pits. We've covered a lot on my show with veterans coming on talking about this should have not been a political issue. And it's despicable. Some on the right made it a political issue. It should have been something that should have been universally supported by everyone. Our veterans serve our nation. They got sick from these burn pits that were burning toxic fumes and elements because everything was thrown in it. And to vote against it, there's no defense for that. It is unpatriotic. And I don't say that too often about a vote, but Marjorie Taylor Greene vote against our veterans to me is unpatriotic.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's un-American, to be honest with you. I mean, those who serve you deserve no less respect than the minimum things that we can do. And that's taking care of them when they come back from war zones. I mean, it's simple. It's not about politics. It isn't political. It's what's right. It's about right and wrong at the end of the day. That's what this is all about.
It should not be debatable. So, and I'm chatting with Marcus Flowers, Democrat running in Georgia's 14th district, taking on Marjorie Taylor Greene. So we'll get back to a little bit more of Marjorie Taylor Greene in a second, although I know people are familiar with her. When you're in the district talking to voters, what are the issues that they're saying, hey, Marcus, I want you to go to Congress and fight for me on this issue or that issue, or address this issue or that issue?
You know, Dean, I get out in district every day, and I know that people see that this campaign has perhaps an outsized social media presence, and they talk about the money that this campaign raises. But the real secret sauce of this campaign is our field operation. Mm-hmm. That's where that money is going, and communicating with our neighbors. And we've knocked over 60,000 doors so far. And I talked to our mayors, our city council members, our commissioners, our law enforcement officials, our healthcare workers, our school boards of education, and our business leaders. And we have a lot of issues that need to be addressed here in our district, whether it be our infrastructure, our schools, preparing our kids for jobs in the 21st century, bringing businesses into our communities, housing, healthcare. I talked to our seniors, and they're worried about whether or not they can pay their rent because of prescription drug costs at the end of the day. There's so many issues that are going on in this district, and people talk to me about them every day, and they're not being focused on right now. I see the job as a member of Congress as steering funds towards your district, our taxpayer dollars, recouping some of those, and getting things done here. We're facing so many issues, and what is our Congresswoman doing? Nothing for us. She's out, as we said before, supporting and providing aid and comfort to those who attacked our Capitol on January 6th, campaigning for people all over the country, but she's not here in the district talking to the people. That's what I do every day. And I asked them point blank, what do you want to see out of your representative? They don't want to be embarrassed. They want to get things done. And that's what I will provide for our district.
And you mentioned senior citizens struggling to pay their prescription drug prices, yet Marjorie Taylor Greene voted against the cap at $2,000 on prescription drug prices. That was part of the Inflation Reduction Act. So you seniors in your district and across the nation who need help, who need to age with dignity, not groveling to be able to pay for medicine to keep them alive. Well, finally Democrats were doing something. We're being able to negotiate with Medicare, the prices down, and put a cap on it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's very personal because my mom's a senior. Some of these Republicans, every Republican turned their back on seniors, like my mom. Absolutely. So how does that resonate in your district?
My mother as well, and has diabetes and uses insulin, and the costs that she pays is exorbitant. And I know because I help her with it all the time. So this is, this hits close to home on so many different levels. People are feeling real pain here, and we need to be coming up with common sense solutions to help support the people here in our district.
I did see, though, even though Marjorie Taylor Greene voted against things, you would tweet out a picture where she was at like a ribbon cutting of a project that was funded by a federal program that she had opposed, which is such a Republican. I've written about it. Absolutely. Kevin McCarthy, through the years, these guys, they vote against it. And they tell people, I'm against it. Then they show up when there's a ribbon cutting based on funds they oppose. So what happened in Georgia? Can you share a little there?
Well, there's a aviation school that benefited from, or one of our technical colleges is opening up an aviation branch. And yeah, she was there at that ribbon cutting. It was on 9/11. So I was at another event honoring our fallen on 9/11. But those are the things that she voted against. And we see the hypocrisy there when funds come into the district, because this administration is delivering for Georgians in certain aspects. And then she goes and takes credit for things that she voted against. We see this all the time. That's, that's despicable. So,
By the way, I saw the polls are close for Senator Warnock, who's running for re-election in your state. Can you share on the ground, is there enthusiasm? Are Democrats motivated? Are you feeling good? Obviously about your own race, and also we're all interrelated. They're interconnected in your state. Senator Warnock, we want to see Stacey Abrams win as well. So what can you share about the energy on the ground in terms of Democratic activism?
There's so many issues facing the district once again. And when we get out and we talk to people, we are seeing that enthusiasm across the board. I don't only talk to Democrats
right
out in the district. I talk to independents and Republicans as well. And almost to a person, they're telling me that Marjorie Taylor Greene is an embarrassment. They're saying, thank you for running. They say some other things that I probably can't share with you live on the air, but people are ready to get out and see real change in this district. Again, I tell you about the ground game here, that's helping Democrats up and down the ballot. This district, people say it's a really red district. And, I don't write anyone up. I don't leave anyone behind. I go out and I meet people where they are, and we talk about everything. I have hard conversations sometimes, but I tell you, Republicans as well, they're telling me they want to see things done. They want to feel like they're heard. And they're not feeling that from Marjorie Taylor Greene. So this campaign made that investment in our district. We've got 16 field organizers throughout the district, hundreds of volunteers who are going out, knocking doors, making phone calls, engaging with their neighbors. And that's going to help Democrats up and down the ballot here in Georgia. So we've made that investment in Georgia's 14th. That was probably lacking, I'll say, in previous cycles.
I imagine, because if people don't know, the campaign is doing very well. Fundraising, I was reading, and you're using that to build an organization on the ground and change that
infrastructure.
Yeah. So I'm chatting with Marcus Flowers, Democrat running in Georgia's 14th district. So you mentioned Republicans. Yes, it is a red district. We can't deny the reality of it. When you talk to Republicans, besides Marjorie Taylor Greene, do they really don't want government to do anything like we hear? Or do they really is it more the elite in the party that don't want the government to do anything so that their wealthy donors can have more money to give to them? Like when you talk to rank and file Republicans in your district, do they want government to be helping them with things like prescription drug prices, veterans benefits, funding pre-K, whatever it might be? Because I'd love to hear what you're hearing from the grassroots Republicans.
Dean, that narrative doesn't necessarily track with what I'm seeing on the ground.
Okay.
I hear sometimes when I talk, I hear those talking points that you hear in the media sometimes, but it only takes a little bit to break through that and talk about what actually is the function of a representative for the district. And when we have that conversation, it clicks with those who say, oh, big government spending. Well, and let's just bring it back to one issue, and that's Roe versus Wade, where we see there now Republicans are trying to ban abortion all over the country. When we look at that, and I talk about, if you want limited government and the intrusion into your lives, what do you think this is? This is huge government. And people get it. They get it. We have those conversations. They want government to make their lives better, but they don't want the intrusion into their lives. And I understand that. And I know it's a tough needle to thread, but we're having those tough conversations, and it's working. It's literally working. That's why I say you meet people where they are and you have the conversations. And that's what we're doing in this campaign.
Yeah, in Kansas with the proposal to amend the Constitution there, what I heard were they were making a plea to actually conservative, and it turned out to be working well. The idea, do you want big government intruding in your health decisions? Being Republicans, they don't want to come between you and your doctor. They want to put your doctor in jail. This is something we've not seen. They're literally criminalizing it. And, we talked about money before. There was something you were tweeting about. You promise you'll never use $92,000 of your campaign funds to buy a luxury SUV. Tell us what Marjorie Taylor Greene did. She was able to raise a good deal of money early on. I'm not sure now how much her financial support is, but she raised, according to Federal Election Commission reports, She spent almost $100,000 on a luxury vehicle. How does that play out in the district?
Well, it's not popular, I can tell you that. I mean, that looks like corruption to most people. And we've had that conversation as well. People come up to me and talk about it. But at the end of the day, you want your representative to actually get things done.
Right.
These are the topics that we discuss here in the district. How are you going to help us? We've got so many things going on with our infrastructure, with our medical facilities. We don't have VA facilities here to take care of our soldiers in the district. People have to go to Tennessee or Atlanta. And in a rural district like ours, that's traveling a bit. And, some of our veterans aren't able to do that. So we keep it on the issues here. And everyone sees Marjorie Taylor Greene for what she is. I mean, that's a corrupt thing with the $92,000 luxury vehicle. And there's several other things that she's done that are quite questionable. I'll put it that way when it comes to her FEC reports and the fundraising operation she's got going on there. But let's face it, she is a fundraising juggernaut with her conspiracy theories and, that far right minority of the country. And let's face it, it is a minority.
Right.
They're giving her money. I mean, that's she was saying, I have no chance of winning this district. I'm just grifting. Well, we'll see about that on November 8th.
Yeah. And you had mentioned how many military bases there are in the area where you are based in Georgia. Yet I am stunned. There is no VA facility you have to go to a neighboring state because where you are in Georgia.
Absolutely. Parts of our district have to go up to Tennessee to get a VA hospital.
What's the closest VA hospital? How far is it? Like how long?
For me, it's Atlanta. So we live in a rural district, and I'm an hour away from Atlanta. Other places in the district are more than an hour away from Atlanta. That's hard for some.
Certainly.
Especially our homeless veterans who need help, and we've got to get them that help.
And does Donald Trump come up at all? Any of the scandals, the classified documents? Do you hear that from voters?
Surprisingly enough, he never comes up in our conversations.
Really? It's interesting. Really? I'm not doubting it. I just think it's interesting how with the media, what we talk about and what that's why I always ask, what are the grassroots people? What are voters saying to every candidate I talked about? Because I'm more intrigued than that. I know what the media is talking about it. I read about it. I talk about it on my show. So they're talking about issues that affect them, not Donald Trump.
And that's what people really are focused on here, is the issues that affect us here. And that's what we've made this campaign about.
Right.
What is going on here in Northwest Georgia, what we can do to help our district grow, to help our citizens here, to help our veterans, to help our seniors, to help our kids, to preserve democracy for our future generations. These are the conversations that we have.
And those are the conversations that make sense to me on the more human level. So if people want to help Marcus, if they want to help at your campaign, they want to volunteer, they want to donate, whatever, what's the website they can go to?
Our website is www.marcusforgeorgia, all spelled out, marcusforgeorgia.com. That's MarcusForGeorgia.com. You can go on our website, go to the issues page, see the things that we're talking about here in the district. You can go to our volunteer page and sign up for phone banking. If you're in the district, please come out and help us knock on doors. This is something that we do regularly. Again, I say we got hundreds of volunteers that do it. It's fun. It's actually my favorite part of the campaign, is to go out and meet the people where they are and have those conversations. But we do phone banking classes every day. People make phone calls for us. If you'd like to donate, there's a link on our webpage to donate to our campaign, because at the end of the day, campaigns cost money. I have to pay my field organizers and all of our staff a living wage, to be able to do the things that we're doing. We've provided that infrastructure here in Northwest Georgia to actually bring about change and get true representation.
Well, Marcus, we're rooting for you to shock the world on November 8th. Hopefully we'll get to talk one more time before our election day, but I think it's great, since we talked a few months ago, now you're the nominee, you've built a campaign, you have a huge social media presence. I see it, it's great stuff. And I'm so glad you have the volunteers and the people knocking the doors. That's the key to getting people to turn out. That's how we shock incumbents and beat them in a district like yours. So we're rooting for you, my friend.
That's it. That's what you do, Dean. You get out, you meet people where they are, you have those conversations. And at the end of the day, you give them a choice. They will have a choice this time. And that choice is going to be between chaos or stability, more mean tweets or someone who's actually getting things done. And I think I don't have to, qualify that statement. People see what's really going on.
The choice is simple. It's Marcus Flowers, Georgia 14th. Mark, it's great chatting with you, my friend. Look forward to chatting with you again. Hopefully we'll squeeze in. If you have time between now and election day, we'll have you back on. We'll see how things are going in the closing days of the campaign.
Would love to, Dean.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too, brother.